To Larry Elder, so you don't have to. So Larry Elder is against a lot of shit. He's against being called African American. He's offended by it. He wants to cancel. He wants to get into that snowflake cancel culture. African American? How dare you? How dare you call me an African American? I'm a proud African American. You can call me African American anytime you want to. I'm also a revolutionary humanist, and my bloodlines are quite interesting. I got 11% African blood, which is, phenomenal. Haven't figured out where or who, but the British Redcoats, apparently, the Chitwoods, they picked the wrong side on that war. And then there's the immigration. There's a massive immigration right after the Civil War. There's a German and Irish and Eastern European immigration. There's a first wave and a second wave. My ancestors are part of the second wave. And then Eastern Kentucky feudist, Breathitt County. Check out Breathitt County. My people rode with Captain Bill Strong. Bill Strong was a fucking badass revolutionary motherfucker. Fought with Abraham Lincoln. He was on the side of the Union. Bill Strong is a badass. Bill Strong is a badass. Don't tell me Bill Strong is not a badass. This is in Breathitt County, Kentucky, so during the Civil War. And so, okay.
Now, maybe Black History Month wouldn't be so bad if they actually taught Black history.
So he's against African American, he's against critical race theory, and he's against Black History Month. He's like, hey, you're going to respect me with the whole month. And then the thing is, what month do you want? It's September. I'll take September. That's fine. Study. I don't know if Caucasians need to be studied, but just revolutionary humanist. Let's take September. Let's take October. October is for the revolutionary humanist, okay? Is that all right? Which month do you want? I think it's good to highlight black folks because they had been forgotten. And so, it's not about, he's acting like it's like segregation.
Here are a few things that blacks are misled about. Slavery, gun control, and the minimum wage. First, slavery.
So Larry Elder, he's going to tell us other things that we've been misled about. I don't know, the media in general when we're in school, but he's going to start out with the big one, right? Slavery, and then gun control, and then minimum wage. So, well, here's some other things that you've been lied about. Genocide, petty theft, disorderly conduct. So slavery myths. I don't know what he's going to say. Actually, I do know what he's going to say, but I want to actually get to the end when he is sitting there talking about
blacks who are willing to work for less did not take jobs away from whites who are unwilling to work for less. By the 1960s, many African Americans were...
So this is where he gets to the minimum wage. So what he talked about with slavery was something about the Muslims. The Muslims were doing it. The Muslims are still doing it. And apparently, 1960 is when Saudi Arabia is going to ban slavery. 1961, that wasn't, motherfucking 60 years ago. 60 years ago, Saudi Arabia was like, that slavery shit. But, what, America did it in 1865, and then Britain did it 1833. So a lot of Western nations did it a lot before the Muslim nations, which is what they're kind of pointing out. They're trying to say, I guess, the Muslims did it. The Muslims did it first, and they're still doing it. They're way worse. So they're kind of whitewashing history, giving white people a pass, like, hey, slavery, schmlavery, Native American genocide, schminishidine, just pretending like Mauritania, this is another Muslim nation, Muslim majority nation, 1981, they banned slavery. Then in Sudan, the Civil War, there was slavery in the north. So North Sudan, South Sudan, they had slavery in, and I think there's slavery in Libya. The slave trade is back in Libya. So he's talking about slavery myths, and that's his biggest myth, but I feel like you know, slavery, it's what, that's the racialization of white and black in America. White was free, black was slave. There's a triangular trade, right? There's the manufactured goods, and then the raw materials, and then the slavery, right? It's an awful institution, a terrible practice used by lazy criminal oppressor class. It's obviously wicked on its fucking face. Slavery is clearly wicked on its face. So slavery myths, there's only two kind of myths that I thought of. George Washington had wooden teeth. He didn't have wooden teeth. He had slave teeth. You know, is that a myth? I think that's true. I mean, wooden teeth maybe for a fucking minute or something, but you're not going to walk around with wooden teeth. You want the real thing, right? You don't want to look like a damn fool with fucking wooden teeth. You want real teeth. So George Washington, he paid for teeth. He bought the teeth. What else would he have used slave teeth for? So that still feels true to me. Also, Kentucky was on the side of the Union. This is 100%, without a doubt. This is 300% verifiable. Kentucky was on the side of the Union. At no point in time did the state of Kentucky ever go Confederate. It started out neutral, then Confederacy actually invades Kentucky first, and the Kentucky goes Union and stays Union the entire war. In fact, there's like a joke, or maybe it's just Kentucky is going to elect a bunch of Confederates, neo-Confederates, after the Civil War. And so it said that Kentucky went Confederate after they won the Civil War. But Kentucky was on the side of Abraham Lincoln. Kentucky was on the side of the Union. Kentucky was on the side of ending slavery. Captain Bill Strong, he helped to end slavery. I mean, back in the 1860s, I mean, there's still slavery fucking today, but imagine the goddamn racism back then. And motherfuckers like, yep, nope, Union man, fighting for America. Nope, Union man, fighting for America. Nope, fuck that Confederacy bullshit. I'm with Abraham Lincoln. I'm fighting for the Union. I like America. I'm fighting for America. We're going to keep America, America. You don't like this goddamn country? Get the fuck out. Nah, fuck your slavery bullshit. That slavery thing, I feel like that's so crucial. That makes the Civil War from just some fucking, two assholes, trying to, steal fucking land and resources to a goddamn moral war. This is God's war. This is a fucking war from heaven, This is a revolutionary war. This is the second, American Revolution. And so the Union, Kentucky was on the side of the Union. Kentucky, Maryland, and West Virginia were all border states. So Maryland, West Virginia, and Kentucky had the dubious distinction of being on the side of the Union, but they were allowed to have slavery, and even up until, past the Civil War, they were allowed to have slavery. The Emancipation Proclamation only affected those in rebellion, so which makes no sense. Like, me passing laws for Russia. Oh, you don't want to be part of our country, Russia? Well, I'm just going to go ahead and free your slaves. If you're a slave in Russia, you're now free, because I wrote it on this piece of paper here, Emancipation Proclamation. But it did, get the ball rolling, and then eventually the 13th, 14th, 15th Amendment's going to get passed, and so slavery is abolished. Slavery is eventually abolished. So, I mean, that's... how could you not feel fucking good? How could you not feel like you're on the right side of history? How could you not feel like you're not, the angel of the Lord fighting in that revolutionary war called the Civil War? So Kentucky, West Virginia, and Maryland were border states. They had slaves. They were allowed to have slaves. Emancipation Proclamation signaled that they weren't, it was eventually going to get outlawed. And that's kind of, I guess, the reason why they felt betrayed, that they fought on that side. They, being the fucking planter, aristocratic, the slave owners of Kentucky, felt like they were betrayed because you said we could keep the slaves. What the fuck, man? But I'm sure not everybody felt like that. But Kentucky, West Virginia, Maryland were border states. So Kentucky is part of the Union. At no point in time, there is a shadow government that formed in Bowling Green for about a month or two, and then there was the invasion. So the Confederates first invaded Kentucky, violated Kentucky's neutrality, put their filthy fucking hands on, Kentucky's purity. So the Confederates invaded first, and the government, at first the governor, Beriah Magafin, had said that Kentucky was neutral. When Lincoln asked for guns, he said that he would not help the, he would not help the purpose or the cause, the wicked purpose of helping to subdue the Southern sister, some shit. So he didn't go straight into the union, but he's going to get recalled by the legislature. He's going to get kicked out. He's going to get booted out. And then the legislature is going to pick a pro-union guy. And then the rest is, as they say, history. Abraham Lincoln said that we can only hope to have God on our side, but we must have Kentucky. So militarily, it's in the central of the country. It's in the middle. It's in the center of the country. So he saw the military advantage. So he played Kentucky and West Virginia and Maryland like a fiddle, but he had to. And so he was gentle with them, but for the rest of for Virginia and Florida and Georgia, now fuck you motherfuckers. You ain't going to have no goddamn slaves, you son of a bitch. So, okay, slavery, gun control, minimum wage. So gun control, what's the lies about the gun control? The American Revolution, Civil War, World War II, right, it's all guns. He points out the Dred Scott decision, how the guy said that there were 3/5 of a people, and he was not his own person, even though he went to the north and south and north and south a bunch of times. So Dred Scott was not his own person, and the judge, the Supreme Court Chief Justice, his main reason was Dred Scott, is he a citizen? Is he a citizen? I don't know, but what I do know is he's a black man, and we're going to give him the rights of American citizenship, including the Second Amendment. We're going to give the black man the right to bear arms. No fucking way. That's Judge Taney, right? So fucking super racist, super fucking bullshit. Ronald Reagan and the Black Panther Party is going to be the same way. Typically, Republicans are all about guns until the Black Panthers, marched right next to Reagan, and then Ronald Reagan's all about gun control. Hey, Reagan, what happened to you being all about the Second Amendment, Mr. Gun Control? So, yeah, he points out the Dred Scott decision. Essentially, it was the black man with a gun is what frightened the white, Chief Justice, one of the most powerful men, in America at that time.
Were employed as farmers. This changed in 1967 when the government extended the minimum wage laws to American farmers as part of the war on poverty. Black farmers who were accustomed to making a modest $3.50 per day were now legally required to be paid $1 per hour, a tremendous increase in wages. The effect of this law was immediate and undeniable. An estimated 25,000 farm workers were put out of work in the Mississippi Delta alone. Black farmers were not oblivious to the cause and effect. That $1 an hour ain't worth nothing, said the wife of one day laborer. It would have been better if it had been 50 cents a day if you work every day. 50 cents per day, of course, was a lower wage than what her husband would have been earning prior to the law. Her point was clear. The federal minimum wage law destroyed their ability to earn a living.
$1? Huh? Larry Elder, $1 is too much? You must pay your employees at least $1. Well, fuck, I would have worked for 50 cents. Why are you paying me a whole dollar for an entire day's wage? A day's wage. $1. That was the minimum wage. And his point is, apparently they did a study and people lost jobs. Did they lose jobs, or were people just they were, paying fucking slave wages and, essentially exploiting poor people who, $1. So my point is just that. It's $1 minimum wage, you motherfucker. 50 cents, that's much better. Well, we should have been paid 50 cents. So over a course of a week, right, you paid 50 cents, what? So if you worked 7 days a week, you get $3.50. If you work 7 days a week with $1 now, that's $7 fucking dollars. You want what? You worked all 7 days this week. You put in, 50 hours? You put in 50 hours working every fucking day, not a single day off. And you dare ask me for $7? How dare you? Get the hell out of my office. Ask me, the CEO, boss man, whatever, the fucking slave driver. You're going to ask me for a whole dollar? You'll get $3.50 for this week's wages, or else. I mean, incredible. I mean, what's next? $20 minimum wage per year is probably too much for. I mean, he's for a zero minimum, So that goes to his point. But $1 minimum wage, if that was too fucking much to pay black folks, then I would put forth that they were white supremacist, racist motherfuckers who didn't want to pay them a human wage. They didn't give a shit if they paid a livable wage or not. They did not give a shit. They're going to pay them as cheap and as poor and as dirt cheap as possible. And so where are we getting all this information? From white academics, from white newspapers? I mean, is this what they thought themselves? Is this from their own newspapers? $0.50 a day would have been better than this shit. You dare ask me for $7 this week? You'll take $3.50 and you'll fucking like it. No, you'll take you'll take $3. No, I docked you 50 cents for just fucking wasting my time. You don't think my time is valuable? So that's what we're trying to get back to. We're trying to get back to the days when $1.50. This is too much. It's too much. Larry Elder would argue that that's too big of a minimum wage. You know, it's actually bad economics. It's not good Milton Friedman capitalist economics. I think the reason why I support the minimum wage in general is because I want a livable wage. It should be illegal for a person to work 40 to 50 hours a week, and then for them to not be able to pay for their bare essentials. That's FDR, that's Economic Bill of Rights, that's absolutely true. I made him work 50 hours a week and I paid him $50. I paid him $1 an hour. I paid him $7. Hell, he wanted $7. I told him I was going to pay him $3 for the whole week. That to me sounds like white supremacist motherfuckers just didn't want to pay a decent fucking wage. $1, a whole fucking dollar. The almighty dollar. Now the almighty dollar don't mean shit. I mean, maybe we could go to Larry Elder. Would you work for $1 a day, $1 a day, or 50 cents a day? And God, I feel like I'm glad he pointed that out, because back in the days of slavery, or after slavery, if you didn't have those laws, they would have paid a penny a fucking day. 3 cents, and then they would have took the 3 cents a day. And then they're like, what the fuck are you going to do about it? Go to the police and the courts? They ain't going to. So, yeah, this is terrible arguments there, Larry Elder. I'm not convinced of your anti-minimum wage. I am in favor of a livable wage, so I don't know how you can force capitalists to at least pay people a livable wage. And a livable wage is, back then $1 an hour, that's $10 an hour? That's probably a livable wage right now. But $20 an hour, that's, I think that you get what you negotiate. And so the minimum wage kind of tells people, like, this is where the lowest that America is kind of set their eyes on. But if you want to make more, right, you get what you negotiate. So how are you going to get $20 an hour? How are you going to make $100 an hour? Can you make $100 an hour? Is that possible? What can you do that somebody would pay you $100 per hour?
End of quote. The first minimum wage law in our country was the Davis-Bacon Act of 1931. And the Davis-Bacon Act says that all workers in federally funded or federally assisted construction projects must be paid the prevailing wage. And if you look on page 6513 of the Congressional Record on March 31st, 1931, you'll see congressional testimony where congressmen will say, see that contractor over there? He brings cheap colored labor up from the South, puts them in cabins, and it's labor of that sort that has to compete, that white Americans are competing against.
One of the things that my friends on the left think is just grand is the minimum wage. And 100 years ago, the minimum wage came into being in the United States, state by state, and its declared purpose was to keep immigrants, women, blacks, and Chicanos out of the labor force. Women, blacks, and Chicanos by state. And its declared purpose was to keep immigrants, women, blacks, and Chicanos out of the labor force.
Why'd you say blacks like that?